Good morning. It is now 27 minutes before the hour of 9 a.m. and it's time for this special edition of Inside Oakwood with Dr. Leslie Pollard. He's here with me, and I'm so excited to see you again.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Donna. Good morning. I hope you had a great weekend.
I did have a great weekend, although I don't know if you know, but my mom was in the hospital.
No, I didn't.
And so she was taken to the hospital on Thursday last week, and they were telling us that she was going to be in there for several more days, but they released her yesterday and took her home. So I had a really busy weekend dealing with that, but she's doing good, and I thank everybody for their prayers.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yes,
I'm glad. I didn't know your mom was in the hospital.
Okay, yeah.
Your mother and your father are treasures to our community, and I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that she's back at home.
She's doing better now, and she's resting at home and on lots of medications and things like that. But she's doing much better now.
Oh, good. Well, we need to pray especially for our community because I'm hearing so many reports. Over the weekend, I want to express, of course, my condolences to every family who has had loss. Yeah. My wife lost her father over the weekend.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, so he passed away on Sabbath, 88
so
years old.
To hear that.
So, Dr. Prudence, you have our love and our support and our sympathies as you grieve the loss of your father, as well as our brothers and sisters as well. And there are so many who are dealing with so much during this time.
Right.
One thing the crisis has done, it has forced us to come to grips with our own mortality.
Yes, every day.
Our own mortality, every single day.
About
protected. I'm looking at this mask I'm walking around with now and thinking to myself, wow, what a difference a day makes. What a difference a day makes.
Yes,
so, very grateful.
Thankful. Yeah, we're thankful that we're still here and still alive, and God is still watching over us.
Amen.
All right, so we got a very important topic that we're going to talk about. I must admit, I get a lot of messages.
International
students.
Yes,
people are emailing me, messaging me. Well, I need to answer these questions. So I'm so glad that we're going to be talking about that. But you have a word on this topic before we get to it, right?
Absolutely. So here we are, and I think I'll share it again. I think I did before. Mayor McKinley Price, who is the mayor of Newport News, Virginia. I heard him in a conference, HBCU Action Nation, and sponsored by Dr. Kim Long, who is one of our graduates. And he is a dentist by training, but he became mayor of Newport News, Virginia.
Wow. Okay.
And those of us who've been to the town certainly love being there.
Yeah.
But he said something during the conference hosted by Dr. Long. He said, "We may all be in the same storm, but we are not all in the same boat."
Wow. Well, that's true. That is so true. I hadn't thought about that. That's
when you think about the disproportionate impact of the virus upon communities of color in general and the African-American community, we are in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat.
Right.
So it pays for us to exercise every precaution that we know, plus a few. And so that's a part of what we're trying to do as we move towards some of the events that we're doing. I'm saying to everyone, it's not what you are probably picturing. Your image of, say, graduation on August 1st. It's just not what you think of when you think of graduation.
Right.
So, so as we go into this, we're learning new ways to navigate this new reality. I also want to take this moment, of course, to acknowledge two civil rights icons who passed away in the last few days. Dr. C.T. Vivian and, of course, Mr. John Lewis, our congressman. And I wrote a tribute to them that's been published or being published this morning, just to say thank you for the service that they rendered. But not only them, all of the legends. And now they passed their test.
Right.
And they're now passing the torch on to us.
Yes.
And it's our turn now. So, again, to their families, to their loved ones from the Oakwood community, we send our condolences and our support. And, again, for all of the pioneers upon whose shoulders we stand.
Yes.
We are very grateful. We're very grateful for your sacrifices. We're grateful for your commitments. And you've inspired us to do the same. So thank you for that.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Pollard. So
all right, international students.
We've got to talk about these international students and answer some of these questions that we have. And you have a special guest with us. Tell us who that is.
Okay, so we've got Senor Jorge Bartholomew. And I love Jorge. I love Mr. Bartholomew. I love his spirit and the work that he does, of course. Both he and Isaac Ibarra.
Yes, Isaac Ibarra.
Yeah, whenever I'm trying to do Spanish, they certainly help me. But we certainly, I'm just a bad student. It's not their fault.
Well,
I'm just a bad student.
I'm with you, Dr. Pollard.
But again, though, his contribution through the years has been signal. And as he coordinates, whenever I have a question about international students, he will tell you. I either text him or call him and say, hey, George, what about so-and-so and so-and-so? Someone said so-and-so. Is that true? Is that not true? What? How should we respond to this?
Right.
So we want to tap into that wealth of learning and knowledge today as we talk about a very important component, a very important cohort of Oakwood University students, our international students, for whom we thank God every single day.
Right.
I want to, of course, acknowledge even at this moment that the biggest trajectory, it almost feels like the real start of this began under Dr. Calvert Rock back in the 80s when he began recruiting from Africa and England, and you began seeing all of the students showing up. And we've got a whole generation of leaders now who were trained at Oakwood under that initiative, the international initiative of Dr. Rock. So it's still paying. The investment is still paying off, and we're very grateful. So and that has continued to grow under each president, under Dr. Baker, under Dr. Reeves. And hopefully under yours truly. Yeah.
It's growing.
You have to make others look good, not yourself. So, no, some people don't know that.
As long as you do a good job is what I was raised. As long as you do a good job, you're always going to get recognized.
Your job will speak for itself.
That's right.
That's the way it works. Okay.
Right.
So Jorge, welcome this morning.
Welcome. Now, okay, so I know that you have been getting calls and comments and questions, because I know I've been getting them, right? But let's start out with the exchange program, the Student Exchange Visitor Program. What's happened with that?
Well, at this moment, the U.S. Department has temporarily suspended all visa services globally. So new students are going to have a challenge getting the appropriate documents to enter the United States.
Okay.
Returning students, it's going to vary from country to country. But right now, for example, the border between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico is closed until August the 21st.
Okay.
So students from those two countries may not be able to enter the United States until after the 21st or on the 21st. Of course, classes begin on the 10th.
Okay, and I missed that because I was kind of distracted. What were the two areas that they will not be able to come into the 20th?
Canada and Mexico.
Canada and Mexico. Wow. They're really close to us, the closest one.
Yeah, the closest ones. The other irony here, George, is, if you would comment on it, I mean, all of these things are coming, and they're just unexpected. You wake up one morning, right, George? You wake up. Jorge, you wake up one morning. Yeah, really.
Either or is fine.
Okay, no problem. The anglicized version is George. Yeah, the Hispanic version, the Spanish version is Jorge. But Jorge, what strikes me, and I don't know how you make these adjustments, I'll be curious. You wake up one morning, and then you hear that the immigration policy of the current administration in Washington has now spilled over into education, and suddenly, if it's bled over, and now here we are. We're telling students that if we're 100% online, you can't come, and then it changes,
right?
So Jorge, how are you responding to the unpredictability of some of these events that are taking place?
The pandemic is what's driving a lot of decision making. So right now, for example, Canada and Mexico border is closed until August 21st. Somewhere around August 16, 17, they're going to look to see what the virus is doing in the United States. And it could be possible that it will be extended one more time until September the 30th. We will not know until August 16, somewhere around there. So it could be possible that foreign students may not be able to return to Oakwood until January.
So our provision for that is remote learning. Okay. So
correct.
That's a very important element in this conversation. So even if some of these restrictions are not lifted, then the students can actually commence their studies remotely, and that becomes very important. That's why it was so important for us to actually push ourselves to make sure that all of our fall courses are available virtually.
Wow.
That was very important because we didn't know about as they say, the volatility of this environment. It's a very volatile environment, and for those of us in higher education, we are probably at the crux of it, at the vortex of it, because there's so many moving pieces in higher education.
Right.
You've got student aid, you've got international students,
Right.
you've got college work study, you've got a million moving pieces in higher education, which is very different from many of the other industries.
Okay.
So we have to listen every single day to I read every single day that whatever the Department of Education puts out. I have to read that and be aware that this is what's coming, or this is what they're talking about, or this is what they're going to be doing. Take, for instance, the issue of testing, and we'll talk a little bit about that. As I've said to some of our parents, so we lobbied and lobbied and lobbied so that privates would be included in the COVID testing.
Okay.
Okay. How that will look eventually, it's changing even for them.
Right. Okay.
So they tell us one thing a week ago. I was talking with Dr. Murrain just last evening. They tell us one thing a week ago. This week it's different. So if you put your plan, if you put the total weight of your plan on what you were told last week, this week it could be very different.
Right.
And so I think, Jorge, and maybe you can respond to this, part of the challenge of this environment that I see is that all of us are creatures of fixity. Creatures of fixity. We want things to be stable and predictable. And one of the things this virus has done is it has pulled that away from us.
Yes.
And we have to now navigate ambiguity. And it can be very, very stressful. George, how are you responding to that kind of thing?
It is. Policies are changing every day. Things that happened last week, I know this week are going to change again. So we're keeping our eyes and ears open to see what the new rules and regulation, especially as it relate to foreign students.
Okay, so I do have a question and I'm ignorant when it comes to this international process and things that are offered. Tell me what I want to ask a question about applying for is it the I-20 or the DS 2019? I'm not sure what that is, but I know the international students. And what does it have to pertain to them returning?
The I-20 form is the document that foreign students will take to the American embassy or consulate, and allows them to apply for the student visa.
Okay.
And that's in that document, it gives their personal information, the institution that they will be attending, of course, will be Oakwood University, the program, and how long the time period is going to be, whether it's 4 years, 5 years that the student will be participating. Once they use that document and get the student visa, then that allows them to enter the United States. When the immigration officer looks at it, he says, oh, you have what it takes to attend an institution in the United States.
Okay. All right. So now once they do enter or are able to return, which we say it could be as late as January, what happens to them as it relates to COVID-19? Are they going to be quarantined? Are they going to be, just tell us what's going to happen there.
Currently, they are being quarantined for 14 days, and Oakwood University is prepared to do that 14 days upon their arrival on our campus.
Okay, and that's pretty much how it is with our students that are coming in August, right? They still have to, not all of them.
Well, okay.
Not all of them, some of them.
So we had a 1-hour meeting last evening on this very issue.
Wow.
What are the reentry protocols? And Ms. Ebony Murrain will be making a presentation. Dr. Ebony Murrain will be making a presentation to us. She'll be making a presentation to us tomorrow morning in Town Hall on what the protocols look like for every element that you described for reentry. And she's got a whole chart. Have you been tested?
Yeah.
If yes, do this. If no, do that.
Right.
Was your test positive? If yes, do that. If no, do this. And on and on. Go to this station, go to that station. And so, again, it's yes, when students come, so we can't say automatically that a student will be quarantined because there will be students who will bring their test with them to say that I'm cleared. So we don't want to send the message out that everybody who comes to campus will be quarantined. Only those whose condition dictate that they need to be quarantined. We've made provisions for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And everybody's coming tested or going to be tested.
We want everybody to
or going to be tested.
Either tested or is going to be tested.
Right, exactly.
But everyone will be tested before being admitted into the student body.
Wow. This is
a
much.
new reality.
I'm telling you.
New.
We just got to get used to this. This is our new normal. We've got to get used to it. This is how it's going to be. So I know a lot of the international students are concerned about their employment as well. So talk to us about student employment for international students. Jorge.
Students will be allowed to work. provided we are doing it face to face.
Okay.
If it becomes remotely, then it's going to vary. Not every position can be done remotely.
Okay.
The students that are the first-time freshmen that are coming in, we are placing them in various positions according to the field of study, and that is because of the CARE program. Is the CARE Advancement Readiness Education Program. First-time freshmen are being placed according to the field of study, and also as a result of Focus 2, which is an assessment test that they are taking that give us an idea of what the strengths, weaknesses, and fields of studies they are pursuing.
Okay.
The returning students, if they're living on campus, will be able to return to the positions that they had before or new positions that become available.
Okay, so where do they go to even start their process if they need to, be starting the process for employment?
The first-time freshmen, we are handling ourselves through the Career Connection Student Employment Center. And we are placing them, as of Friday, we notify 150 students of the career opportunities that they will be participating in on campus. For the returning students, the portal for them will be open on August 1st. So they will be able to start applying for positions after the August 1st. It will go through the various supervisors in the areas that they're interested in. Those supervisors will be making the hiring decisions.
Right. All right, so we know that we still have students on campus, right?
Yes, we do.
And are they, I guess they go through the regular protocol because they've been here the whole time, or is there
Are you talking about our international
students that
Yes.
remained, when the pandemic forced us to send all the other students away, but there were some students that were...
Right,
yeah.
we do have international students who were unable to leave, and the university accommodated them by providing housing and actually meals as well.
Okay,
so they were the residence hall people leaders made 3 meals a day available to each of our students.
Right.
Again, we recognize the difficulties, and there are some international students who, as they said to us, if we leave, we know we won't be able
back.
to return.
Right.
That'll be the end of our Oakwood
Experience.
matriculation. Yeah. So that, again, the moving pieces here is what I'm emphasizing, at least from my perspective. And what the virus has done is it forces 100 decisions a day.
Yeah.
100 decisions a day. It really does. It's very interesting to
and then
experience
you got to come up
it.
with another answer to those same questions that day, the next day.
Well, yeah, because it could change
it so quickly.
As Jorge said.
Yeah.
It could change the next day. Like, for instance, right now, we've got a testing protocol with UAB, University of Alabama, Birmingham. That's who the governor has committed the testing protocols to. We set a plan last week based upon everything that they said to us. We found out Friday that they can't do it that way. They're going to have to do it differently. So now the plan has to change.
Right.
And that's just one good example of the kind of nimbleness that we need as we meet this environment. Now, for me, I find that stimulating. Many people find that depressing because the fixity, the need for fixity is very, very great. In all of my leadership assessments, it says that I have a high tolerance for ambiguity, so that I'm not rattled by ambiguity. I like it because it invites clear planning.
Yeah.
But if you just have to have clear fixity versus fluidity, then this environment is going to be stressful. And I invite everyone to take this opportunity to see what the hand of God is doing. God is pulling away from us those bases of security that we probably put our confidence in excessively, overconfident, and saying, now you're going to have to trust me through this process. You're going to have to trust me through the storm.
Okay.
You're going to have to stay with me. You're going to have to keep your hand in mine.
Right.
And I've never lost a passenger. I've never lost a ship. I'll lead you through it.
And so our international students can take that to heart and be encouraged to know
Amen.
that Oakwood
Amen.
University has not
Yes.
forgotten about you. We're trying to
Amen.
do everything we can to make sure you get
Absolutely.
back, or you can
Absolutely.
continue your education, whether online, where you are, or here. Right?
Absolutely.
Praise
That's
God.
Absolutely.
Praise God for that. Well, any questions that you have received, Jorge, that we have not talked about from students or anything that you want to share?
For students who
International students, yeah.
we are preparing new I-20 forms to send to all students, and some of them are wondering, when am I going to get it? Between Tuesday and Wednesday, we'll be sending new I-20 forms for them to have.
Okay.
It'll be easier for them to travel. If by chance you don't get it, do check your Oakwood email address. If you don't receive it, check your spam box. And if by chance you still don't get in contact with me at jbartholomew@oakwood.edu, and we'll make sure that it gets to you.
All right. Well, Dr. Pollard, how do you want to kind of wrap this up? Because, I mean, I can't think of anything else. Do we have any questions
He
on
answered
Facebook?
all of your questions.
I'm telling you. I mean, I'm trying to think of some more questions. Nothing's coming to my mind.
I always say to people, is there something I should have asked you that I didn't ask you, that I didn't know to ask you? Yeah, that's what you just did. So what should I have asked you? Sometimes when I'm interviewing candidates for the university, after the interview, I say, so what should I have asked you that I didn't ask you? Is there something I should have asked that I didn't ask?
Right.
And often they will tell me, well, you should have asked me about so-and-so.
Right.
Can you tell me about that? And that gives them a chance to talk about what they want to talk about. I think what's clear here is that the university is putting forth every effort to speak to the multiple audiences that constitute Oakwood University. I think as we do the Inside Oakwood broadcast, part of its value is that it gives our constituents, our alumni, our students, our faculty, our staff, an opportunity to see from the inside how these important decisions are being made and all the variables that have to be considered. It's like a domino effect. A decision over here affects what happens over here. And so a part of Inside Oakwood, to me, the benefit is that it really does take the mask off.
Yeah.
I mean, it offers transparency
yes.
into the way it works. And
Yes.
today in leadership, that's
Yes.
one of the big values, the value of transparency. Now, I often say to people, there's really nothing to hide. I mean, this stuff is pretty open, you know. Now, we can't reveal people's personal issues, but in terms of administrative operations, it's just not that complicated.
Right.
Everybody's trying to make decisions that focus and move the institution forward. So in the area of international students, I think what's important for our international students to hear is that the university is committed to you.
Amen.
Correct.
Amen.
The university is committed to you.
Give us that email and how they can contact you or website that they can go to again to get more information.
They can reach me via email at jbartholomew@oakwood.edu. And of course, definitely check the Oakwood University website where we have the latest information as it talks about reopening and returning back to campus.
All right. Well, Dr. Pollard.
Well, thank you, Jorge. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank
Jorge,
you.
you are the first person that I have heard on this broadcast who has left Donna speechless. You're the first.
I have no more questions.
You are the first person.
Like I said.
There's usually an avalanche of questions.
Well, like I said, I need to, get more familiar with these processes for international students, and maybe I'd have some more questions. But the questions that I've received, I've already asked them, from people who have either messaged me on Facebook or, what they want to know about, how can their child get back into Oakwood, how to contact Dr. Pollard.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I've shared, the information with them,
I'm an easy reach. I say to everyone, I said, now, if you got a few weeks, send an email. So there, you got a few weeks. If you got 4 weeks, send an email. If you got a couple of weeks, call. If you want an immediate response, text me. Because that I usually could get right back to you on that within 24 hours or so.
But that does bring me to one more question that I
please.
remember I got about there's some organizations fundraising for international students, and is the university involved in anything like ancillary about? That's the wrong word, but that's not the word I was looking for. But anything outside of what the university is doing and helping or assisting, or know about any programs where we can raise funds to help make sure that our international students can come back and afford it when they're allowed to.
So yes
Anything?
and yes and yes.
Okay.
To your question, the Advancement Development Office continues to raise money in all of its scholarship campaigns, and I'm glad to report it's meeting its goals.
Okay, great.
So as it sets out these goals for financial, for instance, there was a $50,000 match goal that was reached, and then a $175,000 goal that was reached. So, and all of these funds become available for international students to enjoy and to access. We've got a number of different scholarship programs, as we've said before, on Inside Oakwood, and a number of different grant programs, as we've said, on Inside Oakwood. And so those are available. Now, George, would you say a little bit, because George always reminds me of this, in order for a student to become an international student, this is really important, what he's about to share. Tell me about the sponsorship requirements and all those kinds of things, so that you can demystify what it means to be admitted into the United States as an international student.
One of the things that is required is a student must have funding for the first year at Oakwood University. The average cost is $30,000. Whatever scholarships Oakwood University provides can be deducted from the $30,000. And usually students go and secure sponsors, whether it's an individual or organization, because they must prove to the United States government that they have the funding to attend Oakwood University, so that they will not become dependent on the American system to take them through their education.
Okay. That's a good point.
Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
And most people don't know that.
Wow.
But George, would you parse that and repeat that, because that becomes very, very...
Yeah, survival and entrance into the United States is to have the funding to attend Oakwood University. Oakwood University does help, and that funding can be deducted from the $30,000.
Right.
So students, we have excellent and great academic scholarships, and students, so we reward students for their academic performance.
Okay.
Right now, transfer students are getting $10,000. So now instead of 30, they just have to come up with 20. And you can have as many sponsors as possible to get it done. I remember when we went in Bahamas, we had a young man that really wanted to come to Oakwood. And I don't know if you remember, Dr. Pollard, but the church collectively
raised $30,000.
Raised $30,000 for one student.
For one student.
Wow.
He sings in the Aeolians.
And he's here, he sings with the Aeolians, and that was done in about an hour or less.
Wow. Praise God. So people can do things on their own as individuals. The university has available funds for international students and all kinds of scholarships and things. So, if you still have questions, Jorge,
J. Bartholomew at oakwood.edu.
And spell your name.
J as in jelly, BARTHOLOMEW. And if you forget the spelling of Bartholomew, I'm one of the disciples listed.
Yes, Jorge, the disciple Jorge.
Jorge.
Yeah, that's what.
No, Bartholomew.
Yeah. Oh, that one. Okay.
He's definitely an OU, Anyway, all right, that's it, Dr. Pollard.
Well, thank you very much.
Anything else you need to say before we leave?
No, I think tomorrow night, now, for all of our parents who are listening, tomorrow night, we've got a special session for parents and students. 6 o'clock is going to be hosted by Ray King and Audrey Johnson, as they've done last week. And it's going to be at 6 o'clock for parents, 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, and then 7:30 for students. Just look for the information at the Oakwood University website. We're talking to all of our constituents. We're answering questions. Okay. We're trying to keep the dialogue and the conversation going. So it'll be Tuesday night and Wednesday night.
Okay.
Right? Now, so here's the reality. Get there fast because it's standing room only.
Yeah.
And the Zoom room fills up very quickly.
Okay. How many people can you get on that Zoom room?
You can get about 300.
300, okay.
So you need to get in.
And if you have any questions about international matters or student employment, I'll be online for the next 2 nights. So feel free.
Very much so. As well, thank you, George, and as well as all of the key personnel. We did the outro and I ran it out.
That's all right.
But all of the key personnel from student services, from student employment, they'll all be there. So when you have a question, residence hall deans will be there.
Right.
You name it. Faculty will be there. Staff will be there. So all the curricular questions can be answered. So we want to make sure that you have the panel available for you to answer, to get your questions answered.
Amen.
Tomorrow night, 6 o'clock for parents, 7:30 for students, Tuesday and Wednesday night.
All righty. Well, thank you so much. This has been a special edition of Inside Oakwood with Dr. Leslie Pollard and Jorge Bartholomew. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you again on Thursday for another edition.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
WJOU Huntsville, 90.1 FM, a broadcast service of Oakwood University.